So look, um, straight off the bat, this movie isn't as fun as Morbius.
But what
And
could be?
exactly what could be. Well, the first half
Well,
of Morbius,
the
and then
question,
more.
no, we have an answer. We have an answer for that, and it's Madam Web.
Oh,
That's true, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So it's not as fun as the first half of Morbius, and it isn't as glorious as the cinematic experience of Madam Web, which again I saw 6 times, and we did a panel about it, and we did
I,
three
I
shows on
think
it.
I think you may have been the entirety of the box office for that film.
I hope I was, and it was well earned, because every time you watched it, there was new things you could find, and it was just
You have probably seen it
fine.
more than Dakota Johnson at this point.
I don't think she's even seen the
Cer-
movie. To be
Certainly,
fair.
she has.
Oh, she has.
No, no,
Um.
no. Certainly, you have seen it more than Dakota Johnson. You've seen
Oh,
it
for
more
sure.
than anyone in that involved in making that movie.
In the editing and anywhere.
Yeah,
Well, look, that movie still. It's like the. It's just
It's
that
the
every
new
time.
Catwoman, isn't it?
No, Catwoman was objectively a bad movie.
But it's
Like
not a fun bad watch though.
no, Madam Web is just a puzzle box. Like every time you see it, you're like, what are they trying to do? Is this a choice?
Okay.
And it's a fun watch. It's like The Room. I think in a couple of years, Madam Web will have that room
That's
aura.
true. Catwoman is like kind of CGI grossness.
Mess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Okay, I get you. Like,
it's
yeah.
just a messy bad movie. So look, Craven.
We
It,
could just stop there, couldn't we?
it's
Craven.
it's look. Okay, it's not a bad movie, right? Straight out of bat, it's not a bad movie, right? It's not a good movie. It's just very, very okay. And the worst thing about that is it's that there's nothing really to say beyond that. There's no reason to watch it again. There's no reason to rush out and go see it. There's no reason to see it, right? And that's the problem. It's like, okay, look, it was a good move. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but I'll never think about it again. I have to
I
say,
don't believe you.
no, I have to say, right, if they did pluck your man who plays Craven out of it and put him in a Spider-Man movie, fantastic idea. The
Right.
comedians in it, also comic accurate comedian, not comedian, chameleon, which
Oh, I do like the chameleon. Okay.
yeah, which was very, very cool. Again, pluck him out, put him in a Spider-Man movie. And if that happens, great. It's the most, I will say this, it's the most successful of these movies that isn't Venom. It like those characters work. The problem is it's fine. The Rhino was actually a unique take on it as well.
Oh, the
So
rhino's in it too.
yeah, so look, there was a lot in it. There was a lot happening. It was a good, competent movie. You know what it felt like? It felt like Iron Man 3. And what I mean by that is it's like, the way Iron Man 3 is completely different than all the other ones, and it's more kind of like grounded, but then has those little flourishes. That's kind of like that's what Craven was like. It was you're watching it and you're like, okay, this is fine, and then they do something kind of wild, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. But there was no real reason for it to exist other than they had to make it. It was in the can for a year, and here you go. And the worst part about it was a couple of people walked out, which I thought that was unfair. It was not that bad at all, but it was very slow. Like there was a good 30 minutes that could be cut out, and that it
you
made
know.
it very flabby, and that
Mm,
is probably the most damning part of it. It's the
do you
one
know?
one thing I could say, whereas like yeah, the movie plodded along in the middle. Go on, Kev.
It's very funny, just that obviously this was supposed to come out last year, and that would
Yeah,
have been even more serendipitous timing. But
yes.
I don't know, because I recently played the Spider-Man 2 PS5 game,
Mm.
which is so funny that this was a Craven movie that was kind of in the whale for a while. Because I think because that Spider-Man 2 game, the primary antagonist is Craven.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's wild that a character I would say fairly confidently most people do not know.
Hold on a
No.
second. No, no, hold on. Maybe this is my age shown, but he was a big part of the original Marvel like
I
expanded universe in the
Yeah, he
I,
was a big
I
part,
in
but
the
he's no
animated
like
I'm
series.
I'm not
Mysterio
talking.
though. He doesn't like have an iconic like thing
That's it.
that
He
I'm,
people
I'm
does.
not
outside
talking.
Kraven's
Spider-Man
Last
know.
Hunt. It's a
I
big
know,
No,
but
but
part.
here's
again,
the thing.
that's
No, no,
very
no.
like in
Here-
the Spider-Man. Sorry, Kev.
But that's the thing. I'm not talking about comic fans. I'm
Okay.
talking about just general populace people.
Right. Right.
I don't read comics. who the hell is Kraven the Hunter and what is his deal?
You know what? That's a fair
So,
point. That's a fair point. I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because
uh,
people would know who like Carnage is and Venom is, even if they never read a Spider-Man comic. Like,
But I think that's
yeah,
wild because like
exactly.
I know who Craven is, but then again, I do read comics and I watched the animated series as a kid. But
But you are right, Dar. He was part of that initial like
Mm.
wave.
what big push?
Like
Yeah,
he
he
was
was a
in the
big
original
character.
Sinister Six, and
Yeah.
Kraven's Last Hunt was one of those big like '80s like famous things. But
Yeah, it
unless you're
was one
like
of the
in
big
it,
issues. Yeah.
you won't know about it. Like
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
But like, so it's so funny that a character that, again, for most people, for most just general audiences, wouldn't know, now have two things that came out relatively close to each other
Mm.
Mm.
to have that direct comparison. And I think, yeah, from like what you're describing to me, the movie just comes out on bottom because Raven's really good in that game.
Yeah, here's the thing. He's really good in the movie as well. Like the action is really well
Mm.
shot. It's very violent for a 16 movie. I will be honest. There's a lot of blood in it.
Oh, it's
Um,
16s. Is that?
yeah. The character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of blood in it. The action is really well shot. There's some good action sequences. Like as far as the way it's shot is really good. It's not just a standard, handheld shaky cam. It's like no, actually,
Mm.
the stunt work is very, very good. It's very well put together. The actual costume is quite good, and the locations. A lot of it's shot in London, and you're like, okay, cool. It actually feels really grounded, but also fantastical at the same time. And the sad
Dara,
part,
did part of this movie take place in the British Museum?
I
Ha.
wish they did drive past it, and I was like, no. And I would have
Full
got.
DiCaprio meme just points at the screen.
But here's the thing. The sad part about this really, Kev, I think you actually hit it there. Like and you can like nobody knows who this guy is, right?
Mm.
So trying to get someone in the door to see a movie about Kraven the Hunter, that's a tall ask. What would have better
With
is to be like, hey,
no connection to Spider-Man, with
no, and
no link to him.
most people wouldn't even know that he's a Spider-Man villain, you know?
You
So
say that, but like Thor was someone no one really cared about
yeah, but
years
you
ago,
see, the
and
thing with this,
they still managed that. Like,
yeah, but that was all riding on the MCU thing, and there was set up and all that kind of stuff. This was completely random.
Okay.
Completely random. There's nothing even close to Spider. The only connection to Spider-Man in this, other than the fact there's some of his rogues gallery, is that even in London, they show a random like they're all reading the Daily Bugle.
What?
Yeah, they're like
Why?
because it's Spider-Man's newspaper, but they're in
Daily
London.
Bugle isn't even in like the top 5 papers in New York in the
Exactly.
Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I was like, they don't even know what they're doing here. This is grasping at straws. And I think the sad part and the last word really on should you go see Craven or why Craven's going to fail is because there's no reason to see it. It's not funny.
It's the last of these, isn't it?
It
Like,
is. Yeah, it's not
Which
funny. It's not so bad it's good. It's not so good you need to watch it again. And
yeah.
here's the thing. The real killer is there's no post-credit sequence. There's no mid-credit sequence. That is it. It is Dunzo.
Oh, I
Finished.
would have loved to have known what was next. Like.
which well, no, what there we did get a glimpse of what was next. There was supposed to be a grand crossover
Yeah.
of the Sony
Hmm.
movies.
And the Marvel.
So
And the Marvel movie. So it's supposed to be Sinister Six versus the Avengers was supposed to be on the table at one point. If you
Oh, I
believe,
don't believe that for a
I
if you
don't. I
believe,
think that's. I don't think that's. I don't think that was going to ever
I
happen.
mean,
no,
look,
no, I
it's
don't believe it
cancelled
either.
now. They could say anything they want.
You see, that was the thing. I don't believe that either, but I did hear that today, and I'm like, oh, that sounds a bit weird. But it could have been on the table at some point, but you just don't know. Like again, this comes from the same
No.
sources that were like, yeah, Venom is totally in the MCU when it
Oh
was totally
yeah,
not,
yeah.
So I think
No,
Sony had a
no,
vision, and this
Yeah.
vision was completely detached from reality.
Yeah,
no.
my dad works at
I
Nintendo, and he can get me a secret Mew for Pokemon Blue.
no. I think we do need to pour one out for not getting Madam Web in a crossover movie. It's sad
Give it
time.
like 15 years. Maybe let it get nostalgic, and maybe then it wouldn't surprise me, but not immediately.
What
Like,
here's what I would say is right. I'm kind of going forward, and the only real kind of path forward for any of these characters, take them out and actually let them do stuff in the MCU. Like even on a TV show, you have your Sony Spider-Verse TV show where they're like, right, we have a random what's Madam Web doing, and then just have her doing like Madam Web things where her little gaggle of
They could barely
Spider
get
Women.
Dakota Johnson to show up for a movie.
No, what I'm saying is they don't even need to have her. They can just have her as a
Right.
voiceover. Like